I'm Gretchen Schott, and this is Made for Impact, a show for leaders who want to leave a lasting impact on their organizations, their teams, and their lives. I want to talk about cleaning the windshield, or another way of looking at conflict management, specifically within yourself. When I think about conflict management as a competency, I think about it as an individual, a leader that deals with problems and challenges in a timely manner, gives ongoing performance feedback, has good personal intention, and effectively deals with thoughts and actions that are different from their own, or seeks out differences and leads to successful growth. So that's when I think about conflict management. And in the last week, I've had a number of clients and people that I talk to, that I coach, that have been struggling with conflict, quite honestly, with themselves. And these thoughts of overwhelm and feeling anxious and frustrated and not really sure what to do, and calling me in ways in which they're like, oh my gosh, I just don't know what I'm doing. I feel like everything's on fire. I feel like I'm doing everything wrong and I'm just really stressed, and all those types of feelings. And maybe it's part of the summer or coming into the spring season. You know, we come into spring and the sun is supposedly shining, and we start putting all kinds of pressure on ourselves, maybe to be thinking about things differently. Maybe it's because it's the beginning of a new quarter. It's April for some. Maybe this is the beginning of the second quarter for you, and you're having all kinds of stress around that. And what I have found in the last couple of weeks is there's a lot of individuals that really need to get more comfortable with the idea of conflict. When we talk about conflict, often we think about it as conflict with others, which is definitely something a lot of people struggle with. I know I struggle with that myself. But there is a conflict that we have within ourselves as well. And I shared this tool with a couple of my clients this week that I thought I'd share with you guys. I call it cleaning the windshield. So you imagine if you're sitting there and you think about, like, I have an older car, and you know, when your windshield wipers aren't quite working as well. And so you're, turn it on and it's kind of like leaving that little streak still, right? So even though you keep wiping the windshield, there's still like a little kind of smudgy streak. And you're like, I got to get my windshield wipers cleaned. But you can see, but you can't really see very clearly, trying to get to somewhere safe. And so when we're having conflict within ourselves, and we're starting to feel anxious and having anxiety about all the things that we want to get done, especially as high achieving individuals, I like to do this exercise where I call it, let's clean the windshield. So let's get the smudge and make it clear so that we know what we're doing, what we're focused on. And so the exercise that I walk my clients through is this. I say, all right, I want you to write down for me either the names of the projects, or if you're working in a cross-functional role, write down in a column all the different departments, right? Like sales, marketing, finance, or, maybe it's ops, sales, marketing, whatever those departments might be. Or maybe there's 3 big projects. Have them write that down. And then underneath those departments, I ask them to write down, okay, so share with me now, under each column, the initiatives or the tasks that you think you're responsible for. Like, what's that initiative or that project? So after they write that down, I then ask them, I say, okay, now look at those projects. And I want you to think about, when is the due date for that? Like, does it have an end date? Sometimes it's like by the end of the quarter. Sometimes it's like by the end of next week. So what is the time constraint around these different projects that you have to do? And actually put a date to it. And if it is end of the quarter, write the last day of the quarter. And then the next thing I have them do is, now that we've got this list, now I want you to put a little star by any of the things on that list that bring you joy. That's stuff that you really love to do, that is like super fun, that you're actually looking forward to doing. So put a star by those things. And after they do that, I say, okay, now I want you to look at that list. And I want you to put a circle around the things that you just don't like to do, that you just don't enjoy, that you don't want to actually be doing. So put a circle around those things. And then we kind of pause. And I say, okay, is there anything on this list that you can delegate, share, or put off? Are there things on that list, like right now, that have a longer time frame, right? It doesn't have to be done this quarter, next week. It has to be done maybe by the end of the year. We're not going to worry about those things. But those things that you've circled that you don't like, that drain your energy, let's start making a plan to tackle some of those things first. And let's talk about why that drains you. Is it because you don't have the knowledge, the skill, or the ability to do it? Are you holding on to some kind of resentment because you have to do it? Like, what's going on there? When we have conversation around that, we can then make some very thoughtful plans around, okay, so what are we going to prioritize? Maybe you look at those things that you love doing and you take time to do the thing you don't love doing, and you set an hour, half hour of time, dig into that. And then your reward is to go do something that you actually enjoy doing. And when I have this kind of dialogue with a client and we kind of walk through it, there's often this moment of like, oh my gosh, that's so much better. Like I had to write it down. Like I see it. It's so much more clear what I'm supposed to be working on, right? That's that cleaning the windshield. And so from time to time, I think it's valuable as we think about our leadership and how we're showing up, that we get really comfortable understanding the conflict within ourselves. There are stories that we tell ourselves. There are thoughts of overwhelm that we do to ourselves, especially as high achieving, high striving types of individuals, right? We don't want to strive. We want to thrive in our life. We want to thrive in our jobs. We really want to be engaged, both personally and professionally, in what we're doing. And sometimes that requires us to take a deeper look in ourselves and say, what's the story that I'm telling myself right now? Why am I choosing to be upset? Why am I choosing to be stressed right now? So my challenge for you this week is I want you to think about a time in the last week or maybe even the last month that you felt that overwhelm. You felt that frustration. You felt that anxiousness. Maybe you didn't sleep well. Something that kept you up at night and you just still couldn't figure out what's going on. If you can think about that moment, I'd love for you to go back and then try this tool that I just shared with you and see how that helps you get a little bit more clarity on how to manage that conflict within yourself, as well as not only manage your time, but manage how you're showing up. Because oftentimes when we are in conflict with ourselves, we end up getting in conflict with others. We can't lead others if we can't lead ourselves. We can't serve others if we aren't taking time to serve ourselves and our own needs as well. It's really easy just to take on and stuff it down and become a stuffer of, it's just a season of life. It's just this time. But give yourself that gift of just slowing down, taking a moment to really kind of process what's going on with you. And I guarantee if you can get clear on what's going on with you, your reactions will be so much better when you have people that disagree with you or say things that you don't necessarily agree with or challenge you in ways that you weren't prepared for. If you are very clear with yourself, it's so much easier to be present to others. I want you also to know that I have a really big goal. I've been sharing this goal that I want to get 200 reviews of this show. So please, if you haven't done so already, write a review. Follow us on LinkedIn. Follow me on LinkedIn. Share the show. Talk about it with your friends. If you want to talk about professional stuff, hit me up on LinkedIn. You want to talk about personal stuff, find me on Instagram. But in the meantime, I hope that you use these lessons, and I hope that you remember you are made for impact.